And then DMT.
Yeah.
I want to know about DMT.
Let's talk about your DMT experience.
I can't.
How was that? I remember you ended up getting it.
Sorry.
And you had told me
mate.
you had told me that your plan was to take DMT, put on World of Warcraft music, and then enter Azeroth.
See if I get an Azeroth. Because
Please tell me
I
it
don't.
worked.
It kind of worked, but didn't. But I always don't want to. I never want to do acid or mushrooms or anything like that. I won't say I've done mushrooms because I fell asleep on it. I had a weird dream, but that was it.
Yeah.
I don't think I even took that much. But I never want to lock myself into a contract with like a drug that's going to alter my perception of reality.
Yeah, it does that for like 12 hours.
Yeah, and I just think my brain wouldn't be able to take it. So I was like, I want to experience a different reality. And DMT is very short-lived. It's a 2-minute to 5-minute to 10, whatever trip.
It's about 5 to 15.
My breakthrough was about 5. And to this day, I would say it's not even a full breakthrough. But I did enough. And I remember I put on, my first time was probably one of my best. I put on Baron's music.
Yeah.
And we had a vape, and I hit this vape like a heap, and I remember just slowly transitioning to it. And it's weird to explain DMT because, like I said, drugs are different for everybody. You can never have the same experience as someone else on drugs.
That's so interesting.
Other people's bodies react differently. Some people are bad at smoking weed, and it fucks them up. Same with alcohol. I've seen alcohol ruin people's lives. For me, DMT was the easiest thing I've ever done. I remember going to this place that I can't explain. I was in like some weird fucking oasis with domus flying around, and like there was this Slender Man character that was hovering around me, but he was friendly. And I remember just sitting on the couch, and I remember not losing like reality. Like I could see myself and touch myself.
Yeah.
And like, but it was like safe, and I did it. I think I've done it like 10 times in total.
You've done DMT 10 times.
Yeah, well, I did it 3 times the first night.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's very short-lived.
Do you not like build a tolerance to that? I feel
You
like
do,
after the
you
first
do,
time,
you build an immediate tolerance.
Yeah. So the second time I did it, I had to do a lot to get the same effect, and then the third time it was a lot, like to the point where I was coughing because of it, which was really sucked because when you're going into like a fucking different reality and you're coughing, it's real bad.
Yeah.
So
machine elves don't like it when you cough. It's rude.
The what don't?
The machine elves.
The machine elves.
Yeah.
Did you ever get to that point? Like
I got to a real fucked point where we did it outside, and I was like looking up to the stars, and I got like sucked up into space. But I kind of just, and I remember I was floating around in space, and like this is the audio listeners can't see this, but this was like a planet, and I could see it.
He's holding up a Canadian club.
I could see the planet, and I could touch it, but it was also, it was this close to me, but it was also 100 miles away from me. It was really weird and hard to explain, but each time I did it was like 2 weeks apart because I had it, and every time I'd get bored, I'm like, I'm gonna do DMT because like it doesn't fuck with me too much. And I like to this day I don't believe in anything spiritual. Like DMT takes you to another universe, but it does fuck you up.
Yeah, that's something that's always interested me, is like drugs like DMT, mushrooms, and all that. It's always been like a super big interest of mine because I'm really fascinated with this like alternate reality type thing.
Yeah,
but it's something I'd also never touch, which is a weird
acid?
thing. No, like it's a weird fascination that I've got where I'm like, wait,
you didn't do acid with them?
I didn't do acid.
No, he didn't. He
just
trips it.
Yeah.
I've got a really, really fucking big phobia of just like not being in control.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
That just messes with me big time.
On acid, you're more or less on control, in control. And if you were to do it, man, you'd want to start off on a really low dose.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, there's a very manageable dosage, but obviously, it's all at your discretion. It's all at everybody's discretion. You know, the only thing that, you know, I talk about drugs a lot. We talk about drugs a lot, and I think more so the reason I do it is to advocate drug safety and also to stop the stigma.
Very true.
There's a lot of drugs where there's just so much propaganda and misinformation around them, where people that want to know the truth can't easily access it, and so that when they do eventually find themselves in a position where they're able to try the drug and they're curious enough to try it, they don't know the dosage, they don't know what it'll actually do.
Scary.
You know, they don't know about their family history and whether or not it'll affect them, and people need to take those kinds of things into account before they actually go ahead and experiment with these substances that can alter their perception of reality.
I think the encouragement of don't do drugs is really bad because
Yeah,
if someone wants
you don't
to do,
demonize it.
It should be if you want to do drugs, because if someone wants to do drugs, they're going to find a way to do it.
They're going to do it.
Yeah.
The encouragement shouldn't be saying to people, don't do drugs, they're evil. It should be doing, okay, if you want to do drugs, you're going to do them. There's no way I can fucking stop you. But encourage safe use.
Here's how to do it safely.
Yeah.
Here's how to measure dosage. Here's how to test whether or not what you're consuming is actually what you intend to consume.
I remember how I got in touch with DMT the first time. I'm not going to say how, but I just found myself with DMT. I'm like, I'm not going to throw this in the bin.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I kind of want to try it. And
You had a bag of DMT. Like
how I got the bag of
was a
DMT
little
is
bag.
unrelated.
It was a big old bag.
Big old bag.
It was freebase.
But it wasn't like I went out of my way to get DMT. I just had possession of it.
Yeah,
somehow.
sure.
Yeah, my polar opposite perspective is that I was always told that drugs are bad, like stay away from drugs and all that, and that stuck with me rather than like, because for some people when they're told drugs are bad, don't do drugs, they do immediately like, I want to do drugs and I want to see how bad.
I want to
they are,
rebel
what-
against the machine,
Yeah,
man.
you
But
know,
like
well-
my perspective is that I stuck with that and didn't want to do that, and yeah.
I got DMT in my possession. I was like, I kind of want to do it because I looked up a few videos of people doing it and explaining it.
Right.
And I was like, okay, this seems interesting. But before I did it, I went and asked my therapist, like, can I do DMT? And she was like, make sure you guys don't have any sort of psychosis buried in your family. Like, go see the doctor. And I asked my mom and dad, I'm like, do we have any sort of psychosis or dementia or anything in a family? And I asked my grandparents, like, no, we don't. And I was like, well, the most part, genetic-wise, I'm pretty safe to do drugs. I went and saw my doctor. My doctor said, listen, if you want to, you can. This is how you can do it, but I don't recommend you do it.
Sure.
There's not enough research, and I'm not going to fucking just take research off Google. I'm not a doctor. I don't have a PhD. My doctor's exact words were, if you want to do it, I can't stop you, but if you're going to do it, this is how you do it. And he was like, make sure you're in a good environment, make sure with people that you trust.
Well, that's a very good doctor.
Yeah, it's a very fucking
That's
good
a
doctor.
very good doctor. You know, well, that's really how it should be. You know,
And-
because the first, you know, you grow up in high school and your parents, your teachers, everybody around you is telling you, don't smoke pot, don't do any drugs, it'll ruin your life. You'll become you'll suck dick on the street for money.
You get a dick in your mouth while you're sleeping.
You get a dick in your mouth while you're sleeping. And then you go off to
that
college.
happened without
You go
drugs.
off to college away from your family and your teachers and whatever, and someone passes you a joint, and you smoke it because peer pressure or whatever, and then you're like, oh, well, this is great. This isn't even that bad. Well, I wonder what else the adults were lying to me about.
Yeah.
And then you do coke, and then your life gets all fucked up.
I feel like anything can ruin your life, like even down to just fucking painkillers. Even
Well,
painkillers are the most
painkillers
fucking,
especially, dude.
Yeah.
People get hooked on painkillers because they get their fucking wisdom teeth taken out, or they have a spine cord injury, or they break their arm, they break their legs, and then they need to take painkillers. And it's fucking opiates.
Yeah.
And then, they get hooked on the opiates, and then soon enough, the prescription they have isn't enough for them, and so they start doing heroin.
Yeah.
They pick up heroin, and then, heroin's not enough. And, it's just a slippery slope from there.
Everyone is different, and just knowing what you can take and what your body can take is, if you're gonna do it, like, just fucking look into it. Like, even if it is just
Do
Google.
research, man.
Go
Don't
see
be a
doctor.
retard.
Just go see a doctor.
Too many people die of overdoses. Too many people die preventable deaths. Little Peep. All he had to do was fucking test it. All he
Yeah.
had to do was test his Xanax.
Well, that was another thing with the DMT. We got a drug at home. You get them
a-
in the chemist for $5.
You get a reagent kit, and you test to make
Yeah.
sure that the thing that you're consuming is chemically what you're supposed to be consuming.
Yeah.
Because you're getting it from drug dealers. You're not buying it from a pharmacy.
Yeah, it's sketchy as fuck.
Well, which is why you have to test it.
Test your drugs.
Which is why you have to verify it. Guys,
your drugs.
don't be stupid.
Don't be dumb.
If
I
you-
was dumb that night. I did coke from a stranger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't-
Did you see them do it first?
Yeah, I saw them do it first.
All right,
Like
well then,
it was like,
you know.
but still, that's not a fucking safe thing to do. Like,
No,
I'm
'cause,
sure who got
'cause-
drugged off the fan that died. What was his name? Little Peep.
What?
Mac Miller?
Mac Miller?
Didn't he get some like
Who got
really-
drugs off a fan and died?
I'm not
know.
sure. It could have been somebody. It might have been.
just
It
cut
might,
that,
I
but-
think it was Peep.
It was
I
Peep.
think it was
Yeah.
Peep.
I didn't know Peep was
I don't know,
dead
dude.
until
I mean,
while
a
ago.
lot of artists fucking die drug overdose.
Yeah.
Especially hip hop, all that shit. Peep, Juice WRLD. All
Just
that
go buy
stuff.
a drug test from the chemist and run it and do your research. Like, don't be so quick to be like, I have it now, I must do it now. No way.
Exactly.
Test your drugs. Don't be dumb. Enjoy your trip.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
All right.
Can we get that in a
I'll
quote?
drink to that.
Cheers to that.
boys.
Egg.